This is actually one of a 4-part series how to improve your 40-yard dash. This one is on the start setup, next one on dry face and first step, the third on transitioning into top end speed, and the fourth will be an overall summary of everything. I promise these videos are game changers, and I'm going to keep them short and straight to the point. When it comes to setting up for a 40, it's really not that hard. The first thing is to set your front foot about a foot's length from the line. You can simply use one of your feet to take a measurement and set up. From here, keep your feet hip width and everything square to the line. Slide your back foot back and drop the knee to the ground. Your knee should be even with the instep or the middle of your front foot, and your feet still at a hip width distance. All while dropping to the ground, you're going to place both hands on the line. Note that later on in the video, we're actually going to do a little bit more of an advanced setup, where you're actually going to walk back and load the hips up to be more effective in your start. For the sake of what most people need, this is the basic way of setting up for a 40. But if you really want to get that extra edge on your competition, then you're going to want to watch the advanced setup as well. When placing your hands on the ground, you want to make sure they're in the middle of the line, and especially if they're using a laser timer. Very important, you want your thumbs pointed in and fingers out, creating a strong and stable base in order to lean on. In a setup like this, you're going to want to be able to keep a bunch of weight on your eventually down hand to get out quicker. With the weak base, it isn't going to happen. From here, keep your feet and hands in the same spot. All of this is now set up and you don't want to move them. You now have a strong base for a quick start. Lock your ankles, screw your feet into the ground, keep your hands stable, and raise up your hips. You want your hips high and over your head's position. This will give you more leverage to push out into a quicker first step. From there, you want to shift your weight forward. A couple things to look at this point. First is my shoulders position in relation to my hands. If you're in the right position, your shoulders should be directly over your hands or even slightly in front, but definitely not behind. The front shin should be about a 45-degree angle in relation to the ground. Your back knee should be slightly bent, head in line with your spine, and you're looking down at the ground. You can literally just look at some key lines or key points, and if one of those things isn't happening, you're not in the correct position to get the quickest first step as you possibly can. Just record yourself, coach yourself, and adjust accordingly. Then the last few steps is take the same hand of the front foot off the ground. So here, my left foot is in front, so my right hand stays down while taking my left off. You want your up hand right next to your hip, almost like you're trying to put something in your pocket, and the arm should be slightly bent. Once here, you might be able to rock into a slightly more forward lean. This position isn't going to be incredibly balanced or comfortable. You're basically trying to put yourself in the most advantageous position to get forward, and in doing so, forcing as much of a forward starting position as possible in relation to biomechanics to get a quick and explosive start. Now, let's go over the more advanced setup. It's not that much different than the one we just went over, but there's little details and important cues here that can really take your start or your 40 to the next level. Just like in the last setup, put your front foot about a foot from the line. Drop the back knee down to the ground in line with the middle of the opposite foot. Then from here, walk your hands out, going forward until both knees are on the ground. Keep your feet exactly where you put them in the beginning. Don't move them. Slowly walk your hands back and push your hips up and back into position. Once your hands get to the line, just like the other setup, take the correct hand off the ground and you're ready to go. What this style of setup does, when done correctly, is it allows you to spring load your legs and hips a little bit more. This loaded position will give you more potential to push out into a quicker, faster first step. That is why you want to take your time in walking your hands back. Get everything into position, intentionally trying to load up some tension in your legs. Maintain your balance in a tight, compact position in order to launch out. That's it. That's a setup. Practice it. Take your time. Record yourself when doing it. If you really want to master it, you kind of have to coach yourself and see what you're doing right from wrong. Any questions, please feel free to ask. The next video in this series is linked in the description below. Unless it's not out yet, it's going to come out 1 to 2 weeks after this video. If you found this information to be helpful, please feel free to subscribe and like the video. Basically, my channel, or this channel, is all about getting out quality, concise sports performance advice to help you in your sports. Go check out my other videos, and thank you.